Welcome to the VoiceMe podcast, information and advice on the world of voiceover presented by voiceme.co.za, the South African search directory for voice artists and related services. I'm Andrew Sutherland, founder of VoiceMe, and today I'm talking about a stage in the voiceover journey that doesn't really come up enough, the dangerous middle, and why intermediate voice artists get stuck. So let's get into it. You've had some training, you've recorded demos, built a profile, sent auditions, and booked some paid work. You know how a session runs, and you understand the basic language of the industry. But something isn't moving. The bookings are still occasional. Clients don't come back consistently. Your marketing isn't producing much, and your confidence is starting to wobble. You're not a complete beginner anymore, but you don't feel like you've built a proper professional career either. You're stuck in the dangerous middle. This is where beginner excitement has faded, but professional momentum hasn't yet taken its place. You've done enough to believe progress should be happening, and you can't clearly explain why it isn't. And this stage can last for months or even years. Some artists break through it, some stay there indefinitely. Others slowly disappear from the industry without ever making a clear decision to leave. They don't quit in one dramatic moment, they just stop auditioning as often. They stop marketing, they stop practicing, their demos get older, their profiles go quiet, and VO becomes something they used to be serious about, but now is just something they do when asked. That's why this stage is dangerous. As a beginner, the gaps are obvious. You know you need training, you know you need demos and a grasp of equipment, auditions, and client communication. The intermediate stage feels different because you've already ticked most of those boxes. That can create the impression that the foundation is complete and success should follow on its own. But it doesn't. A completed checklist isn't a working business. A demo isn't a qualification. A website, or an agent for that matter, isn't a marketing strategy. A few paid jobs aren't proof that your business is sustainable, and time spent in the industry doesn't automatically create professional growth. And here's the central problem. The habits that got you from beginner to intermediate may not be enough to take you from intermediate to professional. The things that helped you enter the market can quickly become the things holding you in place. So in this episode, I want to help you work out where you're stuck. I'm not going to give you another list telling you to train, get a demo, and market yourself. You already know that. Instead, we're going to look at why those things may have stopped working, what signs to watch out for, and how to build a focused 90-day reset plan. But let's start with the first uncomfortable truth. Early progress can give you the wrong message. When you first enter voiceover, almost everything is new. You're learning to interpret scripts, discovering what your voice can do, getting used to hearing yourself recorded, and figuring out microphone technique. You're setting up profiles, meeting people, taking risks, and that curiosity creates progress. You complete a course, record a demo, upload it somewhere, and book your first few jobs. That's exciting, and it should be. Those early wins prove that you can compete. They don't prove your entire approach is working. So here's a simple example. You record a commercial demo and book a bunch of jobs from it in the first year. So you conclude that the demo works. 3 years later, you're still sending that same demo. Your performance has changed, possibly even gotten better, and your voice has probably matured somewhat. Your strongest VO categories or genres have become clearer, and the styles your target clients ask for have shifted as well. But because that demo once worked, you treat it as permanently effective. Old evidence becomes a reason not to review the asset. The same thing happens with marketing. Maybe you sent a batch of introductory emails years ago and got a whole bunch of replies. You kept using the same email long after those replies stopped. Or you joined a talent agency, booked a bunch of great projects early on, and then stopped doing your own marketing because those agent bookings proved it could work, even though the work has slowed down or maybe even stopped. The problem isn't that the early strategy was bad. It may have been exactly right at the time. The problem is assuming a strategy that produced one early result will keep working without ever being reviewed. Beginner strategies often produce isolated wins. Professional systems produce repeatable results. Movement isn't the same as momentum. Sending another audition is movement. Sending another marketing email is movement. Uploading another demo is movement. Momentum happens when one action improves the next one. A booking becomes a testimonial. A client becomes a repeat client. A session reveals a weakness that sharpens your practice. A marketing conversation teaches you what the client actually needs. A demo brings in inquiries from the exact market it was built for. The dangerous middle is often full of movement and short on momentum. You're doing things, but the value isn't accumulating. You keep restarting from scratch. So before you change anything, you need to find out whether that's actually what's happening to you. So, review evidence, not your feelings. Many voice artists judge their progress by how busy they feel. They remember the number of auditions submitted, the hours spent doing demos, the social posts, training sessions, emails. That effort is real, but effort alone can't tell you which part of your business is working. You need the evidence. So look back over the last year. Where did your genuine inquiries come from? Which ones became paid work? Which type of projects did you book? And which clients returned with repeat work? Which demos or samples were connected to the inquiries that converted into real work? How many suitable prospects did you actually contact? And how many did you follow up with? When did you last ask for detailed professional feedback? What specific skill has improved in the last 6 months? And where are you relying on memory instead of keeping records? Those questions separate the real problem from the story you've started telling yourself. You might believe you have a marketing problem. This review may show your marketing is producing inquiries just fine, but your demos aren't converting them. You might believe your demo is the problem, and this review may show almost nobody actually heard it because you've only contacted a couple of potential clients all year. You might believe the market has rejected you, and this review may show you've been pitching to the wrong type of client entirely. You might believe clients don't come back because they didn't like your voice. And this review may reveal that your communication or follow-up created unnecessary work for them. Until you know where the blockage actually is, you'll keep throwing solutions at the wrong problem. You'll buy a new microphone when your performance needs work. You'll record a new demo when your marketing is inconsistent. You'll take another general course when what you really need is feedback on one specific weakness. That keeps you busy, but it doesn't move you forward. So review the evidence, not your feelings. Then stale marketing. A lot of intermediate artists can honestly say that they market themselves. They've sent emails, posted on LinkedIn, contacted production companies, signed up for profiles, joined groups, attended events, but marketing can exist and still be ineffective. One of the clearest signs of the dangerous middle is stale marketing, marketing that hasn't matured with you. Your ability has improved, but your message hasn't. Your target market has changed, but your contact list hasn't. You might still be using the same introductory email you wrote when you were desperate for your first job, the one that says you're trying to break into voiceover and would appreciate any opportunity. And that made sense at the beginning, but it becomes a problem once it no longer represents your experience. I've covered cold outreach in episode 43, marketing outside the VO bubble in ep 46, features and benefits in ep 11, and CRM systems in episode 8. So I won't repeat all of that here. The point today is to check whether your current marketing fits the artist you've become. Are you sending the same message to everyone, regardless of what those people actually do? Are you sending a full show reel when a client just needs one relevant clip? Are you only marketing once work goes quiet? Are you tracking who you've contacted and following up properly? Are you spending more time posting in peer groups with other voice artists than to actual clients? Can someone land on your profile and immediately tell what you're strongest in, find your demos, and get your contact details without having to click around and dig for the answer? Stale marketing feels safe because it's familiar. You've already written the email, built the profile, joined the platform. Repeating those actions takes less thought than rebuilding your approach. But familiarity isn't evidence. If something hasn't produced results in a long time, it needs a review, not another repetition. And this doesn't mean that cold outreach is useless. It might mean yours might be getting too generic. It doesn't mean social media doesn't work. It might mean you're speaking to the wrong audience. It doesn't mean clients have stopped hiring. It might mean that they can't quickly work out where you fit. Your marketing and outreach messaging has to mature as you do. And then we get to outdated demos and weak proof. A demo, as we all know, is one of the most important tools in your business, but it's proof of what you could do at the time you recorded it. It isn't permanent proof of what you can do now. Intermediate artists often have demos that are good enough to avoid replacing, but not strong enough to support the next stage of their career. That's a hard position to spot because the problem usually isn't obvious. A terrible demo is easy to diagnose. Noise, weak performance, poor editing, or just bad scripts. An outdated demo can still sound completely professional. It just doesn't represent you accurately anymore. Your delivery may have improved. Your pacing might be tighter. You may have discovered your best work is in corporate narration, e-learning, or documentaries. But your main demo might still be built around the broad range you wanted to show off when you just started out, full of generic retail reads or leading with a style you're no longer comfortable to book, or even aimed at the wrong client. Here's an example. Say an e-learning producer needs a calm, clear narrator for a technical training project. You send them a commercial montage with 6 short, high-energy adverts. The demo might be excellent. It still doesn't answer their question. They're not asking whether you can sell a fast food special. They want to know whether you can guide a listener through technical information without becoming dull, rushed, or patronizing. When they don't reply, you might conclude that they didn't like your voice. The real problem is you gave them the wrong proof. Intermediate artists usually have way more material than beginners, but that material isn't always arranged around the client's decision. A client shouldn't have to search your entire career to work out whether you suit their project. That's why individual clips matter, why category-specific demos matter, why file names and descriptions matter, why your most relevant work needs to be easy to find. And no, the answer isn't automatically a new demo. First, ask whether the demo is actually the problem. Maybe it's strong, but you're sending it to the wrong clients. Maybe your marketing doesn't give them a reason to click or listen to it. Maybe you need 3 targeted samples rather than a whole new show reel. A new demo can be valuable, but it can't repair weak positioning, inconsistent marketing, or poor client service. And speaking of weak positioning, many intermediate voice artists describe themselves as versatile. That may be well and true. You might handle commercials, corporate narration, e-learning, audiobooks, telephony, documentary, and character work, but versatility doesn't remove the need for clarity. Clients arrive with a specific problem. They need a warm narrator for an explainer video, a trustworthy voice for financial training, a clear voice for e-learning, someone who can pronounce technical terminology, someone who can handle a directed session and turn files around fast. They're not browsing everything you can do. They're looking for the evidence you can do the one thing they need. Weak positioning makes the client work too hard. A profile that says warm, professional, dynamic, and versatile doesn't tell them much because most voice artists use those exact words. Warm in what way? Professional how? Versatile across which categories or delivery styles? What makes working with you easier, and what evidence backs that up? So strong positioning doesn't mean locking yourself permanently into one tiny category. It means giving the market a clear entry point. You can still take on a wide range of work, but for the next 90 days, you might want to focus your marketing on, say, e-learning specifically. That lets you sharpen everything around that client. Your profile highlights clarity, pacing, and technical confidence. Your samples demonstrate exactly that. Your outreach speaks to learner experience and efficient turnaround, and your practice focuses on technical scripts. You're no longer shouting that you can do everything or anything. You're showing one specific client how you can help them, which in turn makes it a much easier decision for them to hire you. A useful positioning statement answers 4 questions. Who are you most useful to? What types of projects suit you? What problems do you solve? And what evidence proves it? And if you can't answer those clearly, the market can't either. Now let's talk about the habits and systems sitting underneath all of it, because this is where a lot of intermediate careers actually stall. Firstly, inconsistent practice. Another trap in the dangerous middle is that paid work slowly replaces deliberate practice. In the beginning, you train and practice because you're learning. You read scripts, listen back, work with a coach, try different categories, and make mistakes in a controlled setting. Then you start booking, and practice becomes less structured because the work itself starts to feel like practice. But paid work usually asks you to deliver what you can already do. The client hasn't hired you to experiment with a weakness. They need reliable performance. That means paid sessions can reinforce your existing strengths without developing anything new. If you only practice when a job or an audition lands in front of you, your development slows. You practice the script you've got, but you don't practice the thing you've been avoiding. Deliberate practice should be slightly uncomfortable. It should expose gaps, cold reads, 3 different interpretations of the same script, recording yourself and listening back a day later, working on technical terminology, longer narration, or emotional restraint, or even revisiting a script after specific feedback. It doesn't need a huge amount of time, just some structure and a target. A weekly focused session beats out randomly reading scripts whenever you feel guilty about not practicing. And vague goals don't help either. Improve my ability to sustain a natural conversational read across a 2-minute corporate script is useful. Reduce the sing-song pattern at the end of my sentences is useful. Improve clarity on technical scripts without slowing everything down is useful. Practice voiceover on its own tells you nothing. Feedback also needs to keep going as well. One of the biggest shifts between beginner and intermediate is that feedback gets easier to avoid. Beginners expect correction. Intermediate artists start protecting the identity they've built. You've invested money, booked work, been complimented, and you don't want someone telling you a habit has become predictable. But the moment you stop asking for serious feedback is often the moment your development starts to slow down. Comfort can also look like confidence. Now, confidence is essential in this business. You need it to audition, to market yourself, to quote properly and take direction. But confidence can turn into comfort. You keep using the delivery that's booked before. You keep choosing scripts you already know how to handle for demos. You keep auditioning for the same type of work, approaching the same clients, sending the same demo. You stop testing anything that might make you feel like a beginner again. That comfort can look professional from the outside. You sound polished. You know your gear, you understand the process, you can talk industry talk, but the actual range of what you can do has stopped expanding, and it's easy to start blaming the market before checking your own habits. Market conditions are real. Budgets do shrink, competition is strong, and different projects call for different accents, ages, and vocal styles. Some months are quiet. You can do excellent work and still lose a job for reasons that have nothing to do with your ability. But external pressure doesn't remove the need to check your own side of things. If you say the market is dead, where's the actual evidence? How many suitable clients did you contact? Which sectors did you target? Did you update your proof? Did you ask past clients if they had anything coming up? Did you improve a weak skill or make yourself easier to find? Sometimes the market is dead really just means the small slice you've been comfortable in hasn't produced anything lately. And sometimes the market is genuinely difficult. Either way, your response still needs to be deliberate. And then there's another comfort trap: spending money on the wrong solution. A new microphone might feel like progress. A redesigned logo might feel like progress. A new website can feel like progress. Those things are all useful, but they're also easier to buy than honest feedback. It's easier to change your branding than admit your reads have gone predictable. It's easier to join another platform than build actual relationships with clients. It's easier to blame the equipment than improve your room, your technique, or your editing. Ask yourself what problem the purchase is actually meant to solve. If you can't answer that clearly, don't assume it'll create momentum or improve your chances of pulling in more jobs. I also want to talk about the business gap. Now, some intermediate voice artists perform at a professional level but still run their business like beginners, and that gap shows up in repeat work. A client can love your voice and still book someone else the next time. Why? Because the service around the voice created unnecessary work for them. Maybe you replied slowly. Maybe you didn't ask about usage. Maybe your quote was unclear or you misread the deadline. Maybe the files were named badly or in the wrong format, or your recording levels shifted between the files. Maybe you went quiet when a problem came up. Maybe your invoice took weeks to arrive, or the client had to chase you more than once for it. Maybe you just got defensive during direction and treated every revision like an argument. None of that shows up in your demo, but all of it shapes whether the client trusts you enough to come back. I've covered this in episode 47 on repeat clients and understanding what clients actually hear, so I won't go over it all again, but the bottom line is your voice gets you considered, but your service decides whether the relationship continues. Professional systems don't need to be complicated. A way to track inquiries and clients, quote and invoice templates, standard questions about length, usage, territories, and deadlines, a consistent file delivery process with proper names and backups, a record of what was agreed, following up on a payment, thanking clients, reconnecting with good past clients without waiting for them to remember you first. These systems are boring compared to performing, but they're also part of the job. An artist who handles them well reduces risk for the client, and clients remember the people who make projects easier. They also, for sure, remember the ones who created problems. Another thing to consider is that booking some work doesn't mean the business is working. Booking paid work proves someone is willing to hire you, but one booking doesn't tell you whether your business is healthy or not. You need to look at what happened around and after it. Did the client return? Did you ask for feedback or a testimonial? Did the client refer you to another client? Did you learn something about the market? Did you keep the relationship alive, or did it end the moment you sent the invoice? Intermediate artists often treat each booking as a separate, isolated event. Professional momentum comes from connecting those events. You don't need to aggressively sell to every client after a job. but a completed project creates information, proof, and a relationship. If you throw all of that away and go back to hunting for a stranger, you're making the business side of this career way harder than it needs to be. So all of this is to say that you need to find the bottlenecks. At this point, you might think you need to fix everything at once: demos, website, marketing, practice, admin, positioning, studio, client communication. Don't. Trying to rebuild everything at the same time usually produces a burst of activity followed by total exhaustion. Find the bottleneck instead. Most stalled voiceover careers come down to one of 4 broad constraints. The first is craft. Your performance may not yet be competitive enough for the work you're chasing. You might need stronger script interpretation, more natural delivery, better control, more range, or a better response to direction. The second is proof. Your ability might be strong, but your demos and profiles don't demonstrate it clearly yet. Clients can't hire who they can't confidently assess. The third is positioning and marketing. Your craft and proof might both be solid, but the right clients aren't hearing a relevant, consistent offer from you. And the fourth is service and systems. You're booking work, but weak communication or a lack of a follow-up strategy is stopping that work from turning into repeat business and referrals. So which one is limiting you the most right now? There may be issues in all 4 of them, but pick the one having the biggest effect. If your reads aren't competitive yet, more marketing just spreads weak proof further. If your performance is strong, but nobody's hearing it, more coaching won't fix it. If clients book you once and don't come back, another demo won't fix a service problem. Work on the bottleneck first. So let's turn this into a plan. For the next 90 days, don't try to become a different artist. Choose a direction and collect evidence. In the first week, review your previous 12 months. List your inquiries, bookings, and repeat clients, and where each opportunity came from. Check your demos, your profiles, recent marketing, and practice and feedback history. Identify the bottleneck. Then choose one priority voice category or client group to focus on, whether that's commercial producers, corporate video companies, e-learning developers, audiobook publishers, or something else entirely. In weeks 2 to 4, update one client-facing asset that directly affects your bottleneck. That might be a category-specific demo, 3 carefully chosen samples, your VoiceMe profile, your website homepage, or your introductory emails. Don't change everything just to feel productive. And then fix one missing business system as well, whether that's a basic CRM or a lead tracker, a quote template, standard usage questions, or even a follow-up schedule. Pick one. Then schedule a deliberate practice session every week, each with a specific goal. In the second month, start consistent, targeted outreach. You don't need hundreds of contacts. Choose a manageable group of relevant prospects, research them, send suitable proof, track the contact, and follow up respectfully. At the same time, reconnect with past clients. Don't send a generic "do you have work for me" message. Refer to the previous project, ask how things are going, and share a relevant updated demo if there's a genuine reason to do so. In the third month, review all the evidence. Which outreach messages got replies? Which demos got clicks or mentioned in those replies? Did any past clients respond? Did your practice actually improve the skill you targeted? Did the updated asset lead to better conversations? Keep what produced evidence. Adjust or drop what only produced activity. Then pick the next bottleneck for the next 90 days. That's how progress becomes deliberate instead of accidental. And finally, I want to leave you with a practical exercise. Take an hour this week and answer these 5 questions honestly. Which asset in your business has gone stale? Which habit helped you as a beginner but no longer produces results? Which business systems have you been avoiding? Which skills have you stopped developing? And what's the one measurable change you'll work on for the next 90 days? You might land on needing a new demo. You might find your demo's fine and it's your marketing that's disappeared. You might be contacting plenty of people but positioning yourself badly. You might have strong performance and unreliable client service. Or you might simply be doing a lot of things without ever checking whether any of them work. That's the dangerous middle. You know enough to stay active, but activity without a review turns into a holding pattern, and getting past it takes intention, evidence, and the willingness to become a learner again in the areas where you've gotten too comfortable. And that's it for this week. If you've got questions, get in touch with me and the team at support@voiceme.co.za. Drop a comment or call 0861 VoiceMe. That's 0861 864 2363 if you're in South Africa. And of course, follow and engage with VoiceMe and each other on @VoiceMeSA across all social networks. And if this episode was useful, like, share, subscribe, click the bell icon, or turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. I'm Andrew Sutherland. Cheers for now.